Have you ever been asked, "So, when are you getting married?" And your brain immediately goes, "Please, I was having a good day." It sounds familiar, right? A few decades ago, life seemed to follow a pretty simple script. Finish school, get a job, get married, have kids, buy a house, grow old, done. But things are different now. Some people are getting married in their 20s, others are 30 and still say, "Not yet." 35? We'll see. And some people hear the words "starting a family" and immediately feel like they've been handed a 40-page contract they didn't read. But why? Is it because young people don't want love? Don't want a family? Not really. A lot of people still want those things. The problem is, they are starting to realize how expensive and complicated a family can be. And I'm not just talking about money. Think about it. When you're single and you make $2,000 a month, that money is basically yours. You want a new phone? Buy it. Want to travel? Go ahead. Want to spend your entire Saturday in bed watching videos? Nobody cares. Your biggest responsibility might be keeping yourself alive and remembering to charge your phone. But once you have a family, things change. Rent, food, bills, healthcare, children, education, emergencies, family events. And somehow, money disappears faster than your motivation on a Monday morning. You start thinking, maybe I should wait until I earn more. Then, maybe I should buy a house first. Then, maybe I should have a more stable job. Sounds reasonable, right? But here's the problem. When exactly are you stable enough? At 25, you wait. At 30, you wait. At 35, you find another reason. Sometimes you're not actually waiting for stability. You're waiting for a life with zero risk. And unfortunately, that life does not exist. The second reason is probably even more important. You've seen too many unhappy marriages. You see your parents, your relatives, your friends, people around you. Some couples are genuinely happy, but then you also see couples who barely talk to each other. Couples who fight about money, couples dealing with cheating, couples who stay together only because of the kids, and eventually, divorce. You look at all of this and think, yeah, being single doesn't look so bad. And here's the funny part. You don't even need to experience a terrible marriage yourself. You just need to watch enough other people have terrible marriages. It's like you've never been bitten by a dog, but you've watched enough people get bitten to think, yeah, I'll keep my distance from that thing. And social media makes this even worse. Years ago, you might have known about the problems in a few families around you. Today, you can see hundreds of relationship disasters before breakfast. Husband cheats, wife cheats, mother-in-law drama, money problems, divorce, arguments, someone's crying, someone's exposing someone else. And somehow there's always a person recording the whole thing for TikTok. You scroll through all of this and your brain starts thinking, wow, marriage sounds terrifying. But there's a problem. You're mostly seeing the extreme cases. A normal couple waking up, going to work, having dinner together, paying their bills, arguing about what to watch on TV, and going to bed doesn't usually go viral. Nobody posts, "Guys, my husband took the trash out without me asking." Absolute legend. Nobody gets 10 million views for, "My wife and I had a completely normal Tuesday." So you end up seeing the worst parts of relationships much more often than the boring, healthy ones. And that can make marriage look much worse than it actually is. Then there's another reason. Young people value freedom more than previous generations did. You have your own job, your own money, your own room, your own friends, your own hobbies. You can travel whenever you want. You can sleep at 2 a.m. You can spend an entire evening playing games and nobody is standing at the door asking, "Are you seriously still playing that?" But marriage changes the equation. You can't always ask, "What do I want to do?" Sometimes you have to ask, "What works for both of us?" And for someone who has spent years building an independent life, that can feel scary. But here's where we need to correct something. Marriage does not automatically mean losing your freedom. A healthy marriage isn't two people controlling each other 24/7. It's two people learning how to live together without turning the house into a permanent courtroom. You can still have friends. You can still travel. You can still have hobbies. You can still have time alone. The real question isn't simply whether marriage takes away your freedom. It's, who are you marrying? And this is probably the biggest reason young people are afraid of starting a family. Maybe you're not actually afraid of marriage. Maybe you're afraid of marrying the wrong person. You're afraid of choosing someone who doesn't understand you, someone who constantly fights with you, someone who controls you, someone who cheats, someone who makes your life harder instead of better. You're afraid of getting divorced. You're afraid of having children and realizing you made a terrible decision. You're afraid of becoming the kind of husband or wife you promised yourself you'd never become. And honestly, those fears aren't crazy. They actually show that you're taking marriage seriously. But there's a trap here. You can become so afraid of a bad marriage that you completely reject the possibility of a good one. It's like being afraid of a car accident, so you decide never to drive anywhere. Congratulations, you're safe, and you're also not going anywhere. So what should you actually do? Not everyone needs to get married at 25. Being 30 and single doesn't mean you're broken. Being 35 and unmarried doesn't mean you failed some secret life exam. Marriage isn't a race. Nobody gets a trophy for getting married first, and nobody gets punished for getting married later. The more important question is, are you ready to build a life with another person? Can you manage money? Can you control your emotions? Can you communicate when you're angry instead of acting like a 5-year-old with Wi-Fi? Can you solve problems without turning every disagreement into World War III? Do you understand what you actually need from a partner? And most importantly, are you choosing that person because you genuinely want to build a life with them, or because everyone around you keeps asking, "So, when's the wedding?" Because those are two very different reasons. You don't need to be perfect before getting married. You just need to be mature enough to understand that loving someone is easy compared to living with them for years. Anyone can say, "I love you." The real test is what happens when you're both tired, stressed, broke, annoyed, and arguing about whose turn it is to wash the dishes. That's where the real relationship begins. So if you don't want to get married right now, that's okay. But be honest with yourself. Are you not ready? Or are you simply afraid? If you're not ready, work on yourself. Build your career. Learn how to manage money. Understand what kind of person you want beside you. If you're afraid, figure out what you're actually afraid of. Afraid of money? Learn financial management. Afraid of divorce? Learn how healthy relationships work and learn how to choose a partner carefully. Afraid of losing your freedom? Learn how to set boundaries. Afraid of responsibility? Start becoming responsible before you decide to become someone's husband, wife, or parent. Because the goal isn't to rush into marriage, and it isn't to avoid marriage forever. The goal is to make a decision that actually belongs to you. So the next time someone asks, "When are you getting married?" you don't need to panic. You don't need to get married just because your friends are getting married. And you definitely don't need to get married because your aunt has apparently decided that your personal life is her unfinished project. Instead, ask yourself one simple question. Am I not ready, or am I just afraid? That answer might completely change the way you look at marriage. And if you've made it all the way to the end, thank you for spending your time with me. If something in this video made you think, "Wait, that's actually me," leave a comment and tell me what you think. And if you enjoyed the video, hit like and subscribe for more videos about psychology, relationships, everyday life, and all those things we deal with every day but rarely stop to think about. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.